Hey guys, so I'm just gonna jump right in and explain this conviction. And I know a lot of you have been reaching out and posting comments, curious about my opinion on the matter. Now, we all already knew what was going on. All of the chaos, all of the schemes, all the publicity stunts, and exactly what they were trying to do. So this should actually come as no surprise. However, what I knew, despite all of their efforts, a guilty verdict in this case was pretty damn near impossible. That is not an exaggeration, that is a very accurate legal postulation. If this were really followed by the law of the land, that's just a fact. Most people in society, people who never really looked at any of the allegations or read the deposition, people who believe all the smearing and slandering in the media, most people believe him to be guilty. And that's why they were able to circumvent the law, blatantly give him an unfair trial, and convict him. This is what I do on this channel. I already knew that people only listen to media and that popular opinion was against him. It is what it is. However, I did not believe that they were able to manipulate the law to serve that popular opinion. And now that is a big problem. This is a now historical failure of the justice system. Once again, America exposed itself as corrupt to the core. So in the media, they're just going to keep on pretending that this is a victory of sorts, this is justice, and this is normal. But you can't. Now, I mean this as respectful as possible. A lot of the journalists that you see on TV aren't real journalists. Many play journalists on TV, because real journalists may have told you this. During the Constant trial, the defense was able to dig up some crucial information. And no, it's not about smearing anyone. It's just, in a he say, she say, you have to establish who the person is. So yes, it's relevant. The media doesn't want you to know anything about her. And what they were able to find was it'd be a fair assessment to see her as quite the con artist. They learned that people said that she stiffed roommates out on the rent, and that she even ran a Ponzi scheme. She was broke and was willing to do a lot of things for money. That is extremely important. In fact, when she was trying to go after Cosby, she never went to the police or a criminal lawyer. She went studying what to do, and she was seeking civil lawyers. And again, this is not smearing or gossip. This is documented information that the media just didn't want to tell you. She even recorded conversations with Bill Cosby trying to get him to say things. So the first DA correctly saw all the holes and problems with what she was trying to do. Not saying he believed her or didn't believe her. As the DA, that would be irrelevant regardless. He knew something was very wrong with what she was trying to bring forward. So Bruce Castor, the DA at the time, agreed to do what Constant and her lawyer wanted, seeing that as the best solution for all parties involved, which was to get Cosby to agree to a deposition, under the condition that he would never be criminally charged. And Andrea Constant, who didn't have much of a case, could still walk away with settlement cash, and everyone could happily get on with their lives. However, Castor may or may not have known it was great for Constant, but it really wasn't just about her settlement. Constant, the only case that could be squeezed within the statutes of limitations, became the key to let Gloria Allred and her stable of assembled and media prepped accusers in through the back door. The goal, $100 million civil suit for all. No cross-examination necessary. Make no mistake, this agenda was allowed from above and has now locked arms with other people, agendas, and covert groups, still now working in concert to control all the information, and has fortified the fantasy world you see today. So now, today, conviction and all, it doesn't matter how far they pushed it, because you're not witnessing truth. You're witnessing power. Because still, when you pull the story out today, it still doesn't add up. We're in a different time now, and a real journalist would not be okay with this. I mean, there's documented information that has Constant going to law libraries for weeks and months, speaking with attorneys, secretly recording conversations. All this documented information that shows you on record that Constant is pretty conniving, calculated, and sneaky. Yet when asked one of the many softball questions, like why would you, in your 30s, go to the home of Bill Cosby, who is married, at night, drink wine, and then swallow a bunch of pills? Pills you say you didn't even know what they were. Watch how she hides who she really is, and then plays the role of the naive, stupid idiot.
He had 3 blue pills in his hand.
3 blue pills.
3 blue pills, and he put his hand out, and I said, "What are those?" And he said, "They'll help you relax." And I said, "Like, are they natural? Are they like a herbal remedy?" He said, "No, they're your friends. Just put them down."
They're your friends.
They're your friends. Just put them down.
Swallow.
And he hands me some water. I get some water somehow, and I swallow the 3 pills down.
Why do you do that?
I took them because I trusted that they would maybe just help me feel a little more relaxed.
You trusted him.
Yes, I did.
Naturally, even the most brainwashed people are starting to see, hey, something's not sounding right here. That's why, in response to all the negative comments coming in, feminist groups are trying to gangstalk the social media timelines with the usual talking points. Like, why are we victim blaming now? In other words, why are you thinking? Just believe. Sorry, but no. People are trying to change the laws and drag society into oblivion. Doesn't matter the crime. Any person that simply makes an accusation is not automatically a victim. And no, you can't say, oh, well, he's convicted now. Because it was this kind of irrational thinking that made that so. This verdict is trash. Let me explain to you why. This case is so bad that the people who I debate this with, they even admit now that maybe Constant did fabricate her story. They concede that to me based on the evidence. But they feel, well, he probably raped somebody, so the outcome is what it is. So basically, these grown adults are saying, well, maybe a couple of the women lied under oath, and maybe some of them are guilty of falsely accusing rape. But let's not worry about them, and let's allow the media to portray them as heroes. Because even though we don't have the evidence, come on, he raped somebody. No, that's not how things are supposed to work. So this is what we're dealing with. Bill Cosby didn't get convicted based on the validity of any of the claims against him. He got convicted because he's Bill Cosby, and they convicted him based on his media invented reputation that preceded him before ever walking into that courtroom. This was a he say, she say case with no evidence. And she lied 6 times. She has an abundance of inconsistencies. So that in and of itself is enough reasonable doubt to sink the case. In addition to that, there was also a witness who testified that Constant joked about setting Bill Cosby up for money for her business and schooling. So with all this considered, you see, there was absolutely no way for him to be found guilty on all counts. The fix was in, and that verdict was pure nonsense. If this doesn't get appealed and overturned, then there is no justice in this country. It would mean that the higher courts allowed this obvious farce and miscarriage of justice. And this is why the media is now back at it again, doubling down on all the lying, the brainwashing, the smearing, because they need to resell this case to the public. And they need to keep doing this so that the fog doesn't clear. So you see, the conviction isn't enough because they're uncomfortable. And some of the things that they're saying are just so stupid and outrageous. Like all he did in Hollywood was rape thousands of women. And he's so evil, he's a raping mastermind. That's why there's no evidence. They are lying to save face for the years of their horrible reporting. And now to justify this impossible fraud of a verdict, they're on damage control. They're doing everything. They're getting their usual tools and pundits to berate him. They're recruiting Gabby celebrities to come up with strange, open-ended, anti-Cosby stories that don't really mean anything or have any evidence either, but they make him look bad. They're encouraging insiders to provide some more evidence-less gossip from 50 years ago. They're having panels, they're inviting the accusers on to cry, and they even interviewed a juror to come on and speak and explain why he had to be found guilty. And the reason he gave is something I gave a video about over a year ago, explaining how that was not valid. Take a listen.
What was the evidence that made you sure, beyond a reasonable doubt, that he was guilty?
I think it was his deposition, really. Mr. Cosby admitted to giving these quaaludes to women, young women, in order to have sex with them.
But when you entered the room for the first time, were you sure that he was guilty?
No.
So what then made the difference for you once you started deliberating?
Hearing everyone's comments about certain pieces of evidence and going through the different counts.
So you don't feel, even now, that it was an open and shut case?
No.
Okay, I cannot believe they actually used the same thing that was discussed ages ago and debunked. And this happens to be the most repeated lie regarding Mr. Cosby in social media to date, because the media is correctly assuming the sheep are never going to read the deposition themselves. Mr. Cosby never admitted to drugging anybody. That was a media lie that they nurtured all the way into the courtroom. Bill Cosby admitted to having quaaludes and giving them to women. That is it, and that's the truth. And when the lawyer asked if he gave it to women without their knowledge, he said no. The exchange is all right there in the deposition. And then we have people who very rarely process their own thoughts, saying, but he admitted it, not thinking, but just spitting out garbage the media put in them. Then you have people audaciously simplifying the argument to a race loyalty thing, saying things like, well, the problem is that people can't separate Dr. Huxtable from... No. Don't insult people's intelligence by simplifying the counter-argument through the lens of your own perspective. The problem isn't on the side of people defending Cosby, because he just got railroaded. The problem lies with people whose main information source is mainstream media programming. So it's the court and the media admitting that this whole conviction is based on a lie, deliberately misconstrued information taken out of context. And let me explain this a little further. Quaaludes was never a date rape drug. That's not how it was used. It was a party drug. Many people have already come out at this point to explain it was the Molly of that era. You shared it. It was a huge, big white horse pill. You didn't kerplunk it into someone's drink. It's something that you voluntarily took and swallowed. Everybody knew this. So this media spin was pure nonsense. And that insidious media invention was used to convict him. This was an agenda. And it keeps getting worse. Here's more of what the mainstream media is hiding and won't tell you. Listen to this. They know that this is going right over to appeals. Any sensible defense team would. This debacle of a case, in fact, already violated so many ethics codes that they teach in our schools that I stopped counting. Corporate mainstream media with legal analysts on deck know this but still report as if nothing's wrong anyway. And hang on, there's more. Feminist groups supporting the accusers, regardless of the evidence, canvassed the neighborhood outside of the courthouse with posters and imagery, telling people to believe the women and don't let a rapist get away. I was there. I saw it myself. Even if you went to the cafe across the street to get a coffee, they even plastered the propaganda all over the place in there. And there's more. While they know that this is now going to appeals, corporate media has stooped to even do this. To fix her damaged credibility and get her back on track, Right after the fraudulent conviction, they decided to book Constant for interviews, while the fight is still on. Now, let me remind you that Constant already stole $3.4 million from Cosby, agreed there was no assault, and swore to never publicly talk about this again. So not only did they just unlawfully scrap all of what Cosby settled, and even though Constant pocketed Cosby's money, she's lining up to get paid by media outlets to talk about Cosby anyway. So she lied under oath and didn't get called out on it, and she reneged on the settlement deal, and she's just able to walk around doing whatever she wants. More violations keep piling up. People need to wake up and see that we're dealing with sick people. And no, this is not the side of right. This is ugly. And all of this is proving that this isn't the side of truth. And well-adjusted people following moral codes don't behave this way or allow these types of things to happen. Because truth doesn't need to do this. It doesn't have to prove anything. This is the powers that be using all the tools at their disposal and using all of their brainwashed minions to try to drown truth out. I said this a long time ago at this point. We are witnessing one of the greatest character assassinations of all time. But we have a society way too programmed to even see it yet. How people can't see this is mind-blowing. What's even more mind-blowing? That they're even talking about Quaaludes, period. In the trial, there was a doctor on the stand who confirmed no drug matching the description she gave would result in the symptoms she claimed to have. Another lie debunked that everyone, including the jury, ignored. In addition to the fact that they stopped making Quaaludes in 1980. So why is this juror talking about Quaaludes? So despite all the shenanigans, I just still didn't think they were able to get a guilty verdict. But guys, we're in a new day. And we are so deep in the grips of media mind control and demonic energy. And now overt manipulation of the law right in front of our eyes. And the worst thing is that people, the sheeple if you will, are enjoying it. That's perhaps the most frustrating thing about this thing. It's not that they did this, because it was obvious they were trying to do this. They're corrupt. It's the people buying the whole show. That is perhaps what's most disappointing. Now they can rescind his degrees and trash talk him all they want because they have their conviction now. But the only thing is, they did not prove Bill Cosby guilty. None of the facts of this case ever changed. And the key witness still lied several times. And there was still reasonable doubt. So again, they did not prove Bill Cosby guilty. They proved what I told you guys in another video, that Bill Cosby's not on trial. America is. And they just proved the justice system a fraud. Because as soon as we the people are propagandized and biased enough, off we go, burning witches. This media mind control is a big problem. And that's why I knew I was drawn to this case long ago for a reason, because it relates to my channel in every way. This case is an example of an Orwellian existence that we are now in. The media runs the show and tells people what reality is. That's where we're at. And that's why they were able to pull this off. George Orwell wrote about this and predicted this. Societal stupidity is being socially engineered. And that's why people cannot see things for what they are anymore. They sit there and listen to the media. Well, here is the truth. Reminder, whether you're for Cosby or against Cosby, let's talk facts. This was a legal case against one accuser. And that accuser contradicted her story 6 times on the stand. They all saw it. The reporters all saw it. The jury all saw it. But let me tell you what the problem is. Regardless, he was convicted anyway because of strategic maneuvering and corruption. If you don't know what happened, check my other video out, Truth Exposed. It'll show you everything you need to know. The media and all these social movements have now successfully overpowered the law of the land. And now all of our rights are in jeopardy because, again, the media and movements can now overpower law and order. Whether people realize it or not, we have a serious civil war going on. And it's actually an interdimensional, spiritual civil war. And people can see it and feel it, that there's a lot of things going on right now, and things are just really heightened. And because of this unseen civil war, there's an information war like we've never seen before, from politics to pop culture, you name it. And in this climate, people generally fall into 3 categories. Don't get me wrong, there are lots of categories and subcategories. But there are primarily 3 types of groups that people can recognize when it's articulated to them. In one category, you have people who are on a lower vibration, and they're pushing for low vibrational things, self-serving things, plotting and scheming and rationalizing, and just putting a lot of dark energy out there. And these are people who knowingly support lies, agendas, and things just rooted in evil. They know what they're doing. And remember, a lot of the entities in control of a lot of what we're exposed to are working from this energy. Don't forget that. And then the antithesis, the other side, is your awake people who are trying to fight for the truth, even when it's extremely unpopular. These are higher vibrational people trying to push light and positive energy into the world. And then you have what is perhaps the largest category, which is people in between. People who, depending on their emotion at the time, how they live their lives, and what they keep around them, can get magnetically pulled in either direction. And in this largest group, there are different degrees of where people are at. And a large percentage of these people actually mean well and are well-intentioned and want to believe they're in the right direction, supporting the right things and doing the right things. And unfortunately, many people in this tier may not be able to see what people on a higher vibration are able to feel or see. So many of these people are running in one direction or the other, wanting to believe they're supporting what's right, whether they are or not. Now, why do I say all this and what do I mean? And most importantly, how does all this relate to the Cosby verdict? Well, in this 3rd dimensional experience, it's already understood. Many of us are caught in several different schools of thought, opinions, and perspectives, pulled in varying directions. Regardless where people fall, the majority of society are the well-intentioned. And because of that, we have established things to agree on and abide by. One of those things is the law. And these things are sacred because they consider the unalienable rights of every individual, despite varying biases, prejudices, or assumptions. People are dangerous and wrong a lot. And so history shows us it's to our best interest to protect our common ground and preserve the integrity of the law. With that said, was the law followed and abided by and respected in the case of Bill Cosby? No, it wasn't. Andrea Constant and the others walked in to testify too, did not prove Bill Cosby guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. In fact, many things were done to manipulate and force a result instead of letting information come out. And that is not coming from positive vibrational energy, no matter what they make you believe on TV. And if you believe something lazily, emotionally, unresearched, or irresponsibly, well, that's on you. Even if the propagandized crowds don't like it. Some of us have to stay out of the circus, draw the line in the sand, and speak truth. The good thing about all this is that we are putting a lot of attention on rape and sexual assault because it is prevalent and it does need to be dealt with. And there are many real predators on the loose. But we also have to be careful that we are not allowing ourselves to be manipulated by our passions and our values, that then cause some of us to emotionally follow these corporate subsidized movements, looking to weaponize allegations from anyone, that then result in circumvention of legal protocol. So unfortunately, to the dismay of those enjoying an illusion, no, the Cosby verdict was not justice.